video of battling bipolar. This video is on what is bipolar disorder and my experience with it. Bipolar disorder is a mood disorder classified by periods of high mania and lows depression. It is also called a chemical imbalance by mainstream psychiatry and is balanced out with mood stabilizers and antipsychotics. It is also brought on in most cases by childhood trauma and repressed memories, and CBT is very good in helping this in most cases, but I'll get onto that in a later video. At the risk of sounding slightly robotic, I have to take some of my research that I've done for credibility purposes, and I've taken it from Dr. Harry Barry's book, Flagging the Problem, A New Approach to Mental Health. He believes that now the disorder can better and more accurately be described as bipolar mood disorder as opposed to manic depression, which is outdated and doesn't really sound right anymore. He's quick to point out that while it is negatively associated as a form of madness, it is also linked to high-profile people such as Stephen Fry and Spike Milligan, who are extremely creative and very intelligent. Now, I know that's not always the case, but what would you rather be considered as? Someone who's extremely intelligent and creative with a bit of an issue, or someone who's entirely mad? I think I choose the first option. The characteristics of bipolar disorder are mania and depression, as I said before. Symptoms of a depressive episode are similar to those with depression itself. Low mood, sleep difficulties, low self-esteem, fatigue, suicidal thoughts, anxiety, and whereas that's the depressive episode, mania lies on entirely the opposite spectrum, defined as a period of abnormally and persistent elevated mood lasting at least 1 week, sometimes requiring hospitalization. During this time, the person can display the following symptoms: extremely inflated mood or self-esteem, decreased need for sleep, racing thoughts or ideas, energy and enthusiasm, anger upon being challenged, indiscreet behaviour without judgment about it, and sensitivity to the feelings of others, not caring what anybody else feels about your actions and you're always right. Insensitivity is the big part. Involvement in pleasurable activities without regard of the consequences, like increased sexual activities, reckless spending, reckless driving, and impulsive behaviour in general. Mania makes it particularly difficult to sustain personal relationships because the person become a risk to themselves or others if the mania isn't treated. There is another state which, in my opinion and from my own personal experience, is far more dangerous than either mania or depression, and that is the mixed state, mixed mania, or if you want to be fancy, it is dysphoric mania. This is where you suffer from the symptoms of mania, like I discussed, but also the depressive, suicidal tendencies come into play as well. And this is where the rates of suicide become dangerously high, and it's harder to get a grip on, and it's harder to treat as well because you need to put antidepressants and then you need the right amount of antipsychotics, and if you don't get the right balance you go either too up or too down, and that's what it's all about. Now then, no more of that scripted nonsense. I can talk about my own personal experience. I was first diagnosed back when I was 18, and that was 8 years ago. There, I just give away my age. But my first experience with it was I had a traumatic event. I lost a career in the Defence Forces. I won't go into that in detail, but over the few weeks I started getting racing thoughts, and I couldn't sleep, and I didn't know what was going on. I'd never heard of any mental illness other than depression, and I never had a clue what bipolar was. But I just knew there was something not right. I couldn't sleep. I was so angry all the time. I had all these racing thoughts in my head. I thought, I'll start a band, I'll do this. I was writing, my brain just wouldn't stop. And people around me were trying to say, get help, get treatment now. And then I would get angry. Like I said, anger upon being challenged. I'd get angry to defend there was nothing wrong with me. But long story short, it went so bad that it went into the psychosis stage, which is where you get delusions of grandeur, you get just thoughts like, some people say they get the thought, I am Jesus, I am God. They think they've been sent on a special mission, all this sort of thing. Well, I went into that really deep state, which required I had to be sectioned. And a section is when the police or the guard, whatever country you live in, they take you to the hospital against your will because you're not in a fit state. Now you need a doctor too to sign. You need a doctor and a member of your family to get this underway. You can't just be sectioned. But I was sectioned and put on very heavy medication. But looking back, it was necessary because I was in such a state. But at the time, it was very, very traumatizing and not very pleasant. But and when you're in a hospital like that for the first time, it's so terrifying because everyone's on these different levels. Some people are sitting around catatonic with depression, and then people are sitting talking to themselves in the corner. In my case, I was just running around. Everything was brilliant and happy because I was so manic, until I started to come down gradually over the course of, say, 3 weeks. Then I was when I was on a more level footing, it just became really terrifying. But over the years, I've had about 5 manic episodes, maybe 8 hypomanic episodes, 2 or 3 mixed episodes, and what I get mostly now in the later stage, I find, is the depressive episodes. I don't know if this is true for everybody else, but I find for me it's like the mania was wearing down and down and down. I think you just get one major manic episode, full-blown manic episode, and for most people, I know I've shared people online, they try to recapture that mania with self-medicating with alcohol or drugs or things like that to try and get into that state again. But I don't know, it's complicated. But anyway, that's my experience with it, and I've just seen so many videos like this online, and I thought, why not give it a go and maybe share some other people's stories in the process. And I look forward to making more videos, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.